Good morning, students. Welcome to Rayat Online School Education, subject physics. And today we are discuss about the first chapter, rotational dynamics. Myself, Mr. Lokhande Aryas from Maloji Raje Junior College, Lonam, and Karmavir Bhaurao Patil Junior College, Devapur. So, in previous some lectures, you have discussed about rotational dynamics. Actually, this rotational dynamics is divided between two parts. First is circular motion and the second is rotational motion. So in some previous lectures, you have discussed about circular motion. Very important terms, conditions and all other points of circular motion you have discussed in some previous lecture, and today we have started the second part of rotational dynamics, that is rotational motion. And according to this chapter, rotational motion, so the important point we have started today, this point is the moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass. This is the first point according to rotational motion from the chapter rotational dynamics. See, the moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass. So, moment of inertia and mass both are analogous. Okay, moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass. So, what is mean by analogous? And why we call the moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass? So, with the help of this, so first of all, we are discuss about some quantities. Let's see, angular displacement, angular velocity, and angular acceleration. This angular displacement, angular velocity and angular acceleration are analogous for displacement, velocity and acceleration for the various kinematical equations. So what it means? Why this is analogous for? So simple, we have discussed according to some examples. Let's see, imagine that this is theta. Okay, and you know that theta is represents the angular displacement. Okay, so angular velocity is represents omega and angular acceleration is represent alpha. Okay, theta, omega and alpha, which is represents angular displacement, that is angular velocity and that is angular acceleration. But this angular displacement, angular velocity and angular acceleration are the analogous. Okay, this is analogous for displacement, velocity and acceleration. So this displacement is denoted by s, this velocity is denoted by v, and acceleration is denoted by small a. Okay, so these quantities theta, omega and alpha, these physical quantities we can use when the object performing circular motion, otherwise the rotational motion. Okay, circular motion, that is only the motion along the circumference of circle. And we know that what is rotational motion? Rotational motion is also circular motion, but this motion along the axis of rotation. Okay, so now when the object performing rotational motion, so we can use theta, omega and alpha. It means angular displacement, angular velocity and angular acceleration. But when the object performing linear motion, translational motion, so their displacement is denoted by s, their velocity will be denoted by v, and their linear acceleration will be denoted by a. So it means that when body performing rotational motion, their angular displacement theta, and when body performing linear motion, their displacement is s. So it means that both quantities are similar. Okay, this is also displacement and this is also displacement, but this displacement theta we can use only in rotational motion, and this displacement we can use in linear motion. So it means that this theta means angular displacement is analogous to displacement. Same as this angular velocity, and this is linear velocity. So in rotational motion we can use the angular velocity, in linear motion that is linear velocity. It means that omega is analogous to v, as same as the angular acceleration is analogous to a. So definitely according to this expression we get the knowledge what is meant by analogous. Okay, so why we call this angular displacement, angular velocity and angular acceleration are analogous for displacement, velocity and acceleration. Okay, the same example is here. See, this is moment of inertia, and this moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass. So it means, let's see the moment of inertia. Actually this moment of inertia is denoted by I. Okay, and you know the mass is denoted by m. So when the object performing rotational motion, so their mass is the mass, it means inertia, that is rotational inertia. This rotational inertia is denoted by I. And simply when the body performing linear motion, so their mass is denoted by m. So it means as same as this I or m are similar. So it means that the moment of inertia is also analogous for mass. Okay, so this concept is verified, the moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass. Okay, so when we know what is moment of inertia and moment of inertia is analogous quantity for mass, so after that, according to this concept, the moment of inertia as an analogous quantity for mass, so we are definitely get the total knowledge about moment of inertia. And when we get the total knowledge of moment of inertia, definitely the all remaining points from this chapter, definitely we are understanding very well. So that's why first of all, according to this chapter, we are discuss about the moment of inertia and the concept of moment of inertia. When we get the knowledge of moment of inertia, so we need to understand the expression for rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so first of all we have discussed the rotational expression for rotational kinetic energy, and with the help of this we get the knowledge of moment of inertia, we get the definition of moment of inertia. So let's start at the expression for rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so but then before, when we discuss about the expression for rotational kinetic energy, we get some knowledge about rigid body. So what is meant by rigid body? Let's see this is rigid body. Okay, this is a rigid body, and we know that according to the properties of rigid body, every rigid body is made by the large number of smallest elements. Let's imagine that this rigid body is also made by the large number of smallest elements, and these particles, smallest elements, they are situated at every point on the given rigid body. Okay, so why we call this as a rigid body? Let's see, when the external force is applied for that body, now then after, the distance between any two particles is same. This distance cannot be changed, so that type body is called rigid body. See the definition. If the force is applied, then the position of different particles with respect to each other remains same. Okay, if the force is applied, the distance of the two particles cannot be changed. This is same. Okay, so this body is called a rigid body. So we have discussed the expression for rotational kinetic energy according to the concept of rigid body. So let's imagine that this is a rigid body and the mass of rigid body is capital M. Okay, imagine that capital M is the mass of the rigid body. Okay, and this rigid body performing rotational motion. See, this rigid body performing rotational motion along the axis of rotation. See, this is the axis of rotation, and along which this body performing rotational motion. Okay, and this rotating axis passing through its center. This is the rotating axis, and this axis is passing through its center at point O. Okay, let's see, when this body, rigid body, performing rotational motion, they performing rotational motion with constant angular velocity omega. Omega is the constant angular velocity when this body performing rotational motion along the axis of rotation. But actually we know that every rigid body is made by the large number of smallest elements. So imagine this body is also made by the large number of smallest elements. So imagine that the first particle is here. Imagine that the second particle is here, the third particle is here. Okay, so there are n number of particles are situated between this body right now. So imagine that the first particle, their mass is m1. Imagine that the second particle, their mass is m2. So third particle, their mass is m3, and so on. There are n number of particles. It means that n number of masses will present there. Okay, so these masses will denoted by m1, m2, m3, and so on. Mn number of masses there. So let's imagine that one such particle here, and their mass is denoted by m1. Okay, imagine that the first particle. Okay, first particle we are consider here, and their mass is denoted by m1, and this mass is situated at the distance r1 from the axis of rotation. Okay, this is the axis of rotation and this is the mass of the first particle and is situated at the distance r1. So let's see here. This is the distance between the rotating axis and the first particle of mass. This distance is denoted by r1. Okay, so imagine that one another particle and their mass is denoted by m2. See, at this point the second particle will be here and they situated at the separated distance r2 from the axis of rotation. Okay, the second particle of mass m2 they situated at the distance r2 from the axis of rotation. Imagine that one another particle is here like m3, again m4, and there are n number of particles there. Okay, so we consider the last mnth particle of mass here. They situated here at the separated distance rn from the axis of rotation. Okay, so there are n number of particles are there and this n number of particles are situated for the different distances like r1, r2, r3 and so on rn. Okay, let's see, when this body performing rotational motion with constant angular speed omega, it means every particle is also performing rotational motion. Okay, when the total body performing rotational motion along this axis with constant angular speed omega, it means every particle is also performing rotational motion. But it is very important, when all particles performing rotational motion, their angular speed is constant, but the linear speed is different because every particle is situated at the different distances. Okay, let's see, the first particle is here. Imagine that one another particle is here. This particle is very close to the axis. If the particle situated at a far distance from the axis, their speed is maximum, and when this particle will shift it here, their speed will be minimum. So it means that when the total rigid body performing rotational motion, their constant angular speed is omega, but the linear speed of the every particle will be different and their linear speed will be denoted by v1, v2, v3 and so on vn. See, this is first particle, their linear speed v1. Second particle of mass m2, their linear speed is v2, and the last particle, that is mnth number of particle, and their speed will be denoted by vn. Okay, so after that, when every particle performing rotational motion with a different linear speed v1, v2, v3 and so on vn, but we know that what is v? Actually, according to the relationship between velocity, frequency and wavelength. Okay, and the second relationship, the relationship between linear velocity and angular velocity, we know that when the body performing rotational motion with a different linear speed, so we know that by using the relation v is equal to r omega. Okay, so let's imagine that this is the first particle of mass m1. They situated at the distance r1 from the axis of rotation. So their linear speed will be denoted by v1. But v is equal to what? R omega. It means that the linear velocity of the first particle of mass m1 is given by v1 is equal to r1 omega. Okay, v1 is equal to r1 omega. This is the speed, this is the linear speed of the first particle of mass m1. As same as the second particle of mass m2, third particle of mass m3 and the last one, the nth particle of mass mn. So what is their linear speed? So their linear speed is denoted by, see, the remaining particle speed of mass m2, m3 and mn is given by v2 is equal to r2 omega, v3 is equal to r3 omega, so r3 is r3 omega and so on, vn is equal to rn omega. Okay, so when we know the total linear speeds of the different particles, so simply we find out the translational kinetic energy for every particle. Okay, so let's discuss what is the translational kinetic energy for the first particle of mass m1. Okay, so what is the translational kinetic energy of the first particle of mass m1? Actually, you know, translational kinetic energy will be denoted by half mv square. Right now, let's see, this is the translational kinetic energy of the first mass. So this is first. Okay, so this translational kinetic energy half mv square. But the first particle of mass m1, their linear speed will be denoted by v1. But actually we know that what is v1? v1 is equal to the r1 omega. Okay, so put the value of v1 from this equation, definitely we get the translational kinetic energy for the first particle, and their translational energy of the first particle is half m1, and this v1 square means what? r1 omega, and this is the bracket square. Okay, so it means that the translational kinetic energy for the first particle, that is half m1 r1 square omega square. Okay, so when we get the translational kinetic energy of the first particle, so what is the translational energy for the remaining particles of masses m1, m2, m3 and so on, mn? Let's see, this is the expression for the translational kinetic energy for second particle, that is half m2 r2 square omega square. Now third particle, that is half m3 r3 square omega square, and the last particle, that is the nth particle of kinetic energy, half mn rn square omega square. Okay, so when we get the total kinetic energies, okay, so when we combine the total kinetic energy, so simply we find out the rotational kinetic energy for the total rigid body. Let's see the rotational kinetic energy for the rigid body. So the rotational kinetic energy is the sum of all kinetic energies. So this is the first kinetic energy of the first particle, this is kinetic energy of the second particle, this is the kinetic energy of third particle, and so on. This is the kinetic energy of nth number of particle. Okay, so when we combine all that translational kinetic energy, so it means that we get the total kinetic energy for the rigid body, that is the rotational kinetic energy. So the rotational kinetic energy is equal to, so put the value of the first translational kinetic energy, second, third and nth. See, this is the first translational, that is second, third and so on, that is nth number of translational kinetic energy. Okay, so when we put these different values, now according to this expression, it is very clear that, see, the half is also common here. Okay, half is the common quantity between this expression, and another one omega square. Omega square is the common right now. So let's see, we take half and omega square is common. Now see, this half and this is omega square, we take the common here. What is remaining in the given bracket? m1 r1 square here plus m2 r2 square and so on plus mn rn square is remaining. Okay, so half and omega square is common there. So this term in the given bracket m1 r1 square, m2 r2 square and mn rn square, this term is called I. Okay, this term is called I. So this term is called I means what? That is moment of inertia. Okay, this I is called moment of inertia. It means, see, this is the sum of m1 r1 square, that is m2 r2 square and last one mn rn square. This total term we can write by using the expression for summation. Let's see, the moment of inertia is equal to, this is the symbol of summation. Summation I is equal to 1 to m. It means that this is the addition between first to last, that is nth number of particle, mi ri square. Okay, so mi ri square. So what is the value of I? 1 to n. It means this is the summation of m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square and so on plus mn rn square. So this concept is called I, that is moment of inertia. And when we put the total value in the given bracket I, so simply we get the rotational kinetic energy, the expression for rotational kinetic energy, and this expression of rotational kinetic energy is half I omega square. Okay, this is the rotational kinetic energy. This is the expression for rotational kinetic energy. And according to this expression, we get the concept of I, that is moment of inertia. Now, why we write here this bracket is equal to I? Actually, we know that according to the expression for kinetic energy, we know that kinetic energy is denoted by half mv square. M for mass and v for, that is linear velocity. But we know that the same expression is here, half I omega square. You know, this v is the linear speed and this omega is the angular speed. Okay, so actually we know that this angular velocity is analogous to linear velocity and moment of inertia is analogous to mass. That's why this bracket is equal to I, and we find out the final expression for rotational kinetic energy, and this final expression is half I omega square. Okay, so this is very important expression for rotational kinetic energy, half I omega square. This expression is very important. Note down please, this is very important expression for rotational kinetic energy, half I omega square. Okay, so it means that according to this expression we get the knowledge of moment of inertia. So let's discuss about moment of inertia. Okay, so what is meant by moment of inertia and what is the definition of moment of inertia? Actually we have discussed the same. Moment of inertia is the addition between their mass and simply the square of the distance. Right now, so with the help of this we get the definition of moment of inertia, the sum of the product of masses of all the particles and the square of their distances from the axis of rotation. It means that the summation I is equal to 1 to n mi ri square. It means m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square plus so on mn rn square. Okay, sum, and definitely there is product between mass and distance. Okay, sum of the product of masses of all the particles and the square of their distances from the axis of rotation. So this is the definition of moment of inertia. So what is the SI unit of moment of inertia? So the SI unit of moment of inertia is kilogram meter square, kg meter square, and their dimensional equation is L2 m1 t0. Okay, their dimensional equation is L2 m1 and t0. Okay, so definitely you get the knowledge about moment of inertia and the expression for rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so after that we have discussed one another important terms about the concept of moment of inertia. See, the moment of inertia is depends upon the individual masses. Okay, m1, m2, m3 and so on mn. Right now the moment of inertia is an object and which is depends upon the individual masses and the distribution of these masses about the axis of rotation. It is very important. Okay, so the moment of inertia depends upon the individual masses, all that particles, and they definitely depends upon the distribution of their masses about the axis of rotation. It means that the position of rotating axis. It means what? The position of rotating axis. Okay, so one another important term about moment of inertia. See the first term. Okay, so moment of inertia is not a vector quantity. Okay, moment of inertia is not a vector quantity. Okay, and this moment of inertia is not a scalar quantity. The moment of inertia is a tensor quantity. Okay, see, it is not a vector as a direction is not to be specified. Okay, it is not a vector because the direction is not to be specified and also not a scalar. It has a different values in different direction. This is the reason. Okay, so actually this is a tensor quantity. It is very important. And after that, one another important point, let's imagine that a body, and this body is like a halo. Okay, like a ring, imagine that. Okay, ring. So between the ring, the total space will be empty, and imagine that the solid body. Okay, solid body is completely filled between them right now. So if we consider these two bodies of same mass, same radius and same shape. Okay, we are considered two bodies, hollow body and solid body. Right now they are having same mass, same radius and same shape for the given axis. Okay, so the moment of inertia of this hollow body is greater than the moment of inertia of the solid body. बघा इथे लक्षात ठेवा, ही जी हॉलो बॉडी दिसते आपल्याला, याचा मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया हा सॉलिड बॉडी पेक्षा कसा असतो, जास्त असतो. ओके, बिकॉज व्हाट इट इज डिपेंड्स अपॉन द डिस्ट्रीब्युशन ऑफ मासेस. आणि जर हॅलो स्पियर जर आपण कन्सिडर केला तर डिस्ट्रीब्युशन कसं असतं, दूरपर्यंत असतं. हॅलो म्हणजे आपण असा जर गोल या ठिकाणी जर कन्सिडर केला तर सेंटर पासून जे गोलपर्यंतचं अंतर आहे ते कसं आहे, फिक्स आहे, कॉन्स्टंट आहे. पण रिजिड जर बॉडी घेतली तर ॲक्सिसच्या अगदी जवळ सुद्धा काय असू शकतं, तो पार्टिकल असू शकतो. बघा आपण इथे ऑलरेडी म्हणलंय की मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया डिपेंड्स अपॉन द पोझिशन ऑफ रोटेटिंग ॲक्सिस. म्हणजे इफ द डिस्टन्स बिटवीन द पोझिशन ऑफ रोटेटिंग ॲक्सिस अँड द मास ऑफ एलिमेंट इज स्मॉल, देअर मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया इज ऑल्सो स्मॉल. अँड इफ द डिस्टन्स बिटवीन द पोझिशन ऑफ रोटेटिंग ॲक्सिस अँड द मास ऑफ एलिमेंट इज लार्ज, so their moment of inertia is also large. So according to this, now the moment of inertia of hollow body is greater than the solid. Okay, so definitely I think so you get the well knowledge about moment of inertia and you get the knowledge about the expression for rotational kinetic energy. Okay, so after that according to this chapter, so we have discussed the applications of moment of inertia, and according to this we have discussed first application, the moment of inertia of uniform ring. We find out the moment of inertia. Okay, we have calculated the moment of inertia of uniform ring. Let's say this is a ring. Okay, this is a circular ring. This ring is rotating about an axis and this axis is passing through its center. Now see, this capital R is the radius of the ring. Okay, imagine that this capital R is the radius of the ring and capital M is the total mass of the given ring. Let's see, capital M be the mass of the ring and capital R be the radius of the ring. Okay, so then after see, consider that, just consider that a smallest element. Okay, in the given ring we are consider a smallest element. Let's see, we consider the smallest element. Now imagine that there is a one smallest element. We consider a smallest element is here. Okay, this is the smallest element, and imagine that their mass is denoted by dm. Okay, so dm is the mass of the smallest element. Okay, so if dm is the mass of smallest element, now okay, the mass is the smallest element, so then after we find out their moment of inertia. So what is the moment of inertia of the smallest element of mass dm? So simply, if we total mass is denoted by capital M, and when we consider the very smallest element, their mass is denoted by dm, so their moment of inertia is denoted by di. Okay, when we find out the total moment of inertia of the ring, so their total moment of inertia is denoted by I. Okay, and when we find out the moment of inertia of this very small element of mass dm, so their moment of inertia is denoted by di. Okay, so actually we know that the sum of product of their mass and square of the distance between them, so their mass is denoted by dm, and what is the distance? Actually the radius will be denoted by r. It means that the moment of inertia of smallest element is denoted by r square dm. Okay, so r square dm is the moment of inertia of the smallest element. So when we get the moment of inertia of smallest element, so then after, let's see, second element is here, third element is here, fourth element is here. So when we get the total moment of inertia of the ring, so simply we get the integration between the all moment of inertia of the smallest elements. So let integrating the same. So integration of di is equal to the integration of r square dm. So let's see r. What is r? R is the radius of the ring, that is constant. So constant get outside the integration. And see, this is integration of di. So what is meant by integration of di? So integration of di means the addition between all that moment of inertia of smallest elements. So it means that we get the total moment of inertia, it means I. Okay, integration of di is equal to I, and this is equal to r square, it constant get outside the integration, and remaining integration of dm. Let's see, this is first particle of mass dm, second particle there again mass dm, third particle there again mass dm. When we get the addition between all that smallest elements particle mass, so definitely we get the total mass of the rigid body. So it means that this integration of dm is equal to the capital M, that is the total mass of the given ring. So put the value of integration of dm is equal to m, so we get the moment of inertia of a uniform ring, and their moment of inertia is denoted by I is equal to mr square. So note down please, this is the first application. What is the moment of inertia of ring? So the moment of inertia of uniform ring is I is equal to mr square. Okay, so after that, one another important point is remaining, the moment of inertia of uniform disk. Okay, the second point we are discussed according to this chapter. So the moment of inertia of ring uniform disk, this is second application. Let's see, this is a disk. Okay, this is a disk. Now ring and disk are different. Just imagine that this is a ring. Okay, when we consider it is a ring, so between this ring the total space is empty. Okay, and when we consider it is a disk, so simply this total area will be filled right now. So imagine that this is a disk, this is a solid. Okay, this is a solid, and the mass of the disk is denoted by capital M, and their radius will be denoted by capital R. Okay, so uniform disk of mass M and capital R is the radius of the given disk of surface density sigma. Their surface density will be denoted by sigma. Okay, surface density means what? Mass per unit area. Okay, surface density means what? The mass per unit area of the disk. Okay, so this is a circular. Okay, this disk is circular. So simply what is the area of this circular disk? Now area will be denoted by pi r square. So r is the radius of the given disk. Okay, So then after see, imagine that we consider a very small element on the given disk. This is a very small elemental disk. Okay, like a ring. Imagine that this is a circular ring. Okay, and their ring, their width will be denoted by dr, and their own radius will be denoted by small r. Okay, their own radius will be denoted by small r. But then before see, when surface density sigma is equal to mass per unit area, so what is mass? So mass is equal to the sigma into area. It means that pi r square. Okay, so after that see, dm is the mass of the ring. This dm is called the mass of ring. dr, what is dr? So dr is the width of the smallest element. It means that ring. Okay, and small r is the radius of the given ring. Okay, so after that we find out actually the moment of inertia of the uniform disk. Right now, as per previous, first of all we have considered the smallest element, then after we find out the moment of inertia due to the smallest element, and after that integrating the same. So finally we find out the total moment of inertia of the disk. So that's why we have considered the smallest element, smallest ring of mass dm, their width dr, and their own radius will be denoted by small r. Okay, so first of all see, what is the condition? So simply we find out the moment of inertia of smallest element. So what is the moment of inertia of smallest element? Their mass dm and their distance will be r. So it means that their moment of inertia di is equal to what is? R square dm, small r square dm. This is the moment of inertia of the given ring. Okay, but what is the value of dm? What is the value of mass? And you know that mass we find out with the help of their surface density into the area. So that's why first of all we find out the area of the given ring. So what is the area of the given ring? So this area of the given ring is denoted by dA. This is smallest area. The total area will be denoted by A, and the smallest element, their area will be denoted by dA, and their area we will find out with the help of the simple formula, the circumference of the ring into width. This is the total circumference of the circle. Okay, circumference of the ring and into their width. So their width will be denoted by dr, and their circumference of the ring will be denoted by 2 pi r. It means that the area of the given ring is dA is equal to 2 pi r into delta r. Okay, आता या ठिकाणी बघा, इथे ही जी रिंग आहे ही एक सर्क्युलर रिंग आहे. ओके, तिथे जेव्हा एरिया आपण फाइंड आउट केला तेव्हा पाय आर स्क्वेअर फाइंड आउट केला, परंतु जेव्हा आतली रिंग आपण बघितली तेव्हा तिचा एरिया फाइंड आउट करताना आपण 2 पाय आर इंटू डेल्टा आर असा फाइंड आउट केला. लक्षात ठेवा, ही जी सर्क्युलर रिंग आहे ही फक्त सर्क्युलर रिंग आहे. ओके, आणि जी सर्क्युलर बॉडी असते तिचा एरिया किती असतो? पाय आर स्क्वेअर. परंतु ही जी आतली सर्क्युलर बॉडी आहे त्या सर्क्युलर बॉडीला या ठिकाणी हा जो डी आर आहे हा त्यात ही तिची विड्थ रिप्रेझेंट झालेली आहे. लक्षामध्ये, म्हणजे या सर्क्युलर रिंगला एक ठराविक विड्थ सुद्धा या ठिकाणी आहे. ओके, या ठिकाणी एक ठराविक विड्थ सुद्धा आहे, म्हणून आपण तिचा एरिया घेताना काय घेतला आहे? सर्कमफरन्स ऑफ सर्कल इनटू दिस विड्थ. ओके, अँड दिस इज फायनली dA इज इक्वल टू 2 पाय आर इंटू डेल्टा आर. सो यू गेट. सो dA. आता आपल्याला एरिया भेटलेला आहे म्हणजे आपल्याला काय मिळेल? मास. सो डेफिनेटली वी फाइंड आउट द मास ऑफ द स्मॉलेस्ट रिंग. ओके, सो लेट्स वी फाइंड आउट द मास. So what is the mass of the smallest ring? So this mass is denoted by sigma into area. You know, the mass of the smallest element, that is sigma, surface density into the area. But we find out also the area. What is the area? So dm is equal to sigma or area 2 pi r into delta r. Okay, so when we find out the mass of the smallest element, so then after we find out the moment of inertia. Okay, so what is the moment of inertia of smallest element? Di, and di is equal to r square dm. Okay, so simply when we integrating this equation, let's see the previous point. Let's see the diagram. Okay, so the first ring is here. Okay, this is the first ring at the separated distance r. This is the radius of the ring. Imagine that the second particle is here, third particle is here. So when the total moment of inertia of the ring is added or combined, so simply we find out the total moment of inertia of the uniform disk. It means that from their center to r, all that elemental moment of inertia will be combined. So that's why let's see, we can combine the total moment of inertia. Okay, this is the moment of inertia of the given ring. Di is equal to r square into dm. So let integrating this equation with limit center 0 to r. Let's see. The moment of inertia of the disk can now be obtained by integrating the di from 0 to r. This is the limit of the integrating value. So let integrating the same. So integration of di is equal to integration from 0 to r. Actually this is a circle. Okay. So let's see. Let's see here. Okay. This is a circular ring. Okay. And imagine that this is one another ring. This is the first element. This is the center. Okay, so there are many smallest elements, smallest rings are present there. This is the first ring. So then after this is second ring. Then after this is third ring. Then after this is last ring. So total rings are present at the distance r. At the distance r. So r is the specific distance is there. Okay. So now, if the total moment of inertia due to the smallest elements will be situated from 0 to r. So that's why we can integrating here. Integration of di is equal to the integration of 0 to r square dm. This is the addition between 0 to r. 0 to r. इथे आपण बघितलं diagram मध्ये. So let's put the value of dm. So what is the value of dm? So I is equal to integration of di, that is total moment of inertia I. This is equal to the integration of 0 to r. So r square dm. What is the value of dm? This is the value of dm we can put here. Okay, we can put here. After that, you know, this sigma is the surface density, that is constant, 2 pi is constant. So constant get outside the integration. Let's see, sigma and 2 pi is the constants, and this constant get outside the integration. What is remaining? Integration from 0 to r cube into dr. So let's find out the integration. So you know that actually the standard form of integration x into dx. What it mean by x into dx? That is x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So it means that when we find out the standard form of the given integrating value, so simply we find out I is equal to sigma into 2 pi r raised to 3. So n plus 1, 3 plus 1, that is 4, and n plus 1 means 3 plus 1, that is 4. So we find out the integrating value r raised to 4 upon 4 and their limiting value 0 to r. So 0 to r is the limiting value from the given expression. Okay, so put the limiting value in the given expression. So we find out I is equal to sigma. Sigma means what? Sigma, that is surface density, mass per unit area, that is mass and area. What is the area of the total disk? Pi r square. This is 2 pi, and r square, r raised to 4 divided by 4, their limiting value of 0 and r. So we find out r raised to 4 upon 4. Let's see, this pi and this pi get cancelled here. R raised to 2 and r raised to 4. This 2 and 4. The 2 is remaining here, and 2 2s are 4. It means this, we get I is equal to half mr square. See, 2 2s are 4, that is 2. Pi get cancelled. Okay. This r square and this is 4. So 2 remaining, this m r square and divided by 2. It means I is equal to half mr square. So this is the expression for the moment of inertia of uniform disk. So let's see, what is the moment of inertia of ring? Only mr square, and this is a hollow ring. Okay, between the ring the total space is empty, and see, this is a solid sphere. Right now it means that the disk is also solid. This is a solid sphere right now. So between this solid body and hollow body, so let's see the difference between the moment of inertia. Here half mr square and their full mr square. It means that the moment of inertia of hollow body is greater than the solid body. Okay, so definitely you get the knowledge of moment of inertia, the expression for rotational kinetic energy, and also the application, the moment of inertia of uniform ring and the moment of inertia of uniform disk. Okay, so thank you very much.